Hey there. So this is Get Out There, Get Known podcast, and it is our Media Makeover Friday. And we have a guest today that will be in the hot seat. Her name is Charlene Body. Yes, Charlene Body. And she's going to be our guest along with Lindsay, which is the business strategist coach as well. So we're going to be really giving her some insight and some advice and really digging in. And the hot seat can get kind of hot because you'll hear in real time, no rehearsal. Never have met Charlene before, and really just giving her some direction. So it's a good place for you to listen, learn, and figure out where you fit in as well. So right after this, we're going to bring up Lindsay and Charlene.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
So a lot of times you can learn by listening, right? So this is what this next hour will be, where I and Lindsay will guide Charlene about what it is that we see where her business is for their next steps. So for the next hour, we'll go into some of the PR opportunities that maybe she can take advantage of. PR is an ING, and so is marketing an ING, is continual. And then also we'll see if this is something that she would want to take advantage of in terms of the Ready, Set, Go, Speak, which is a community of PR and branding. But you're in the right place. If you are a professional, especially if you're an author or a speaker or a subject matter expert, and you really have professional services that you sell or customers and eyes and ears onto whatever products that you are selling. So this is really a way where you can kind of see from two experts, Lindsay and myself, of how we position you so you can get out there and get known. And what I'll be sharing basically is really you'll hear like a clarity call. You'll hear what it is that is in Charlene's heart, what it is that she really aspires to do, and how the clarity around that when she articulates it, and then some of the advice that we would say for her next steps. So if you want to go deeper with this, we'll actually go into that when we go a little bit further into the hour here. All right, very good, very good. Welcome, 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 Charlene. Welcome, Lindsay. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
What part of the world are you from?
I am in Denver, Colorado, the Rocky Mountain West.
Okay, you're in Denver. Okay, so we're going to try and put you in the middle here so that we have all three of us on the screen at the same time. Okay, here it is. There we go. All right, so we're gonna put you in the hot seat in the middle. So that way you'll be in the hot seat, but really not really the hot seat. We call it a hot seat, but it's really a love seat because we want people to understand a little bit more about what your business is, what kind of pivot you're doing. And basically as a publicist for about 20 plus years, I want to give you some advice of the things that I can see that I can help you with. And then maybe guide you into the next steps to really go deeper with that as well. Well, we're really a Ready, Set, Go, Speak community. They're joining us as well. It's really a community that cares. And that's one of the things that you need guidance if this is all new to you. You know what you know in terms of being a subject matter expert in your area, but marketing and PR is kind of like what me and Lindsay bring. So Lindsay, give a little bit of background about the things that you do as well.
Sure. I'm a business strategist, small business advisor. Right. Primarily for the purposes here, I'm going to help you with a YouTube strategy, marketing strategy overall, but I really encourage folks who have public speaking ambitions and are trying to position themselves as public speakers. There's no bigger public speaking platform than YouTube. So if you're not using it, we're going to encourage you to use it and help you develop your strategy for doing it and getting results.
Yeah. And his background too is in IT. Used to work for a newspaper, so he was also in media, and then also photography as well. So you kind of know he knows a little bit of the way around the cameras, I guess you would say. And that's like one of the main things that people really are freaked out about sometimes about the
Mm,
technology. And so, like you said, this is the first time you've been on
Wow.
this platform, StreamYard.
yes.
And
Yes.
and it is. I mean, sometimes I'll hit different buttons and, it's like, "Okay, well, what button am I hitting?" Yeah, it doesn't matter, just keep hitting them
Yeah.
till you get it right. That's the thing, you can't break them. And so, yeah, that's the thing. And the other thing that Lindsay does is that he really helps a lot of chefs as well, if they want to have their own cooking show. So I
Oh
don't
my
know.
goodness. I come
Yeah.
from a line of chefs. Used to have
Really?
my
Okay.
own catering company. My granddad was a very famous chef to all Jewish business leaders in New York for many years.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
You might want to do
those.
that's
Well,
yeah.
it's really funny because I started a catering company in the United Kingdom and started doing American consulting for food.
Mhm.
Created a brand, Charlene's American Kitchen and Events, or Cake, and started advising restaurateurs that knew nothing about American food in the United Kingdom, and then started doing classes at all the food festivals, and it just kind of turned into something I wasn't expecting, but a lot of fun as I love food. I used to be a food magazine editor for a national magazine in America.
Get out of here. I
Yeah,
had no idea.
That's
yeah,
So let's start with where you are because clarity is definitely some of the things I wanna get about with you because you have had a lot of different careers and now you're in like
yes,
the final pivot, I guess you not the final pivot, but the next
yes,
pivot.
yes.
So it's a national food editor for a magazine. That's a major thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
And that was
to
in my 20s. And then that launched my catering company in Denver. So before I went to the United Kingdom, celebrities were asking me to do their parties for them in Denver that were producers on Broadway and things like that.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
this is it. That was in your 20s. So what happened after that? What was the next phase? I think I saw that
Well,
even
the
before you.
Hollywood. Yeah. So in that phase in the 20s, we started dabbling with the food. Then ended up doing the federal career, going to the White House, and leaving the White House, assignments and saying I want to do my own production company with my sister, and that had always been a childhood dream. And so I thought, well, I got to get the right lawyers, all this stuff. So got an A-lister attorney, got the top book and music attorney in the West, put the two men together to create our company. Then went to see Oprah. Then, wanted to meet one of the top producers who's the X-Men producer because he hadn't gone to film school. I wanted him to mentor me. Met with him at Hollywood, met with Quincy Jones' daughter, worked with her on a Warner Brothers video project. And then Universal Pictures gave us the break for our show. We're the first Black Sister Act to do what we did in Hollywood. Nobody had ever done that. To be allowed in the press junket world, both of us allowed as sisters with our own show to interview all the celebrities. And before I went to the United Kingdom and
Okay.
decided to work on the coaching aspect of what I do
Okay.
because I've
And
always been a coach.
yeah, it seems like whatever you do, you're putting your hands to, you're learning it, and then you turn around and then you're teaching it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
So you're teaching it and you're learning the aspect of coaching. So that's where you are right now. So you went to the United Kingdom. How long were you overseas?
Almost 18 years, but I actually launched the coaching business in 97, and have been mentored by a top branding expert in London for over 10 years. He forecasted that I would start there. My first class had 1,000 people in it who were out of work. And out of that came some of the top business leaders in the United Kingdom. And at some point, I thought, wow, if this is what's happening with me in the UK, I wonder if I should come back and just do more of this in Europe. So I came back in 2006, left Hollywood, and started focusing on that and teaching a lot of other things. There's a prophetic side to me. There's a lot of people that want to know how to hear God the way that I do. It affects your business, it affects your life. So I started teaching how to hear, but also working outside of the church world with coaching. And again, top developer in the United Kingdom was one of my clients. Um, he said, "You're not charging enough." He said, "This is phenomenal. People that had no money are now multimillionaires in America and here based off of our Extreme Dream program." Then people started saying, hey, can you help my kid become a multi-million-dollar soccer player? We did that. All these things that people said were impossible, that is what the Extreme Dream Coaching Program is about. It started out in entertainment, but really we're being used in all 7 spheres of societal influence: government, business, church, family, everything, entertainment, media, everything. We've coached with great success.
So I'm a little, uh, this is amazing. All the things that you have done to be such
Yeah.
a young lady, okay? To be
But
such
I'm
a,
not. You would know. Guess how old I am, Pam?
I'm thinking at the top of maybe 45.
No, I will be 58 in November. I have done assignments for 3 U.S. presidents on both sides of the aisle: Reagan, Clinton, and Bush Jr. for 9/11.
Out of here. Get out of here.
Uh-uh.
Okay, so when you what? Oh my
Yes.
god. Okay, you
My
look good.
specialty is crisis communications.
Okay, that I would never have guessed that. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah.
And then you know that old saying where they say, "Black don't crack." That is so true.
Yeah. 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 And I think if you know the Lord, he helps keep you young. So,
There you go.
people usually don't guess that. They usually think 38, 40. Because I'm still a plus model. I had an agent in London. I've done lots of commercials and things over there. And
Okay.
no director ever thought I was in my 50s. All of my friends I worked with in London were in their 30s.
I could see that. I could see
Yeah.
that. So you work in government, you work in all the spheres. You went
Yes.
to ORU, so you have the ministry component to it as well. And so
Yes.
right now, where is it that you really want to go in terms of your main passion right now, what your assignment is, I guess you would say, and how can we help support
Yeah.
you?
I would say, things are very different in Europe right now. So I came back to America in March of 2023. Just did the huge international move, which was, the most stressful thing I think you could do in today's world. Made it back with my things. My office stuff was the most important thing to me. And, really was thinking about the coaching at this point because so many people, I'm looking at the stats, are transitioning out of current jobs every 3 to 4 years. And within average lifetime of an individual, they're changing careers 5 to 7 times. And
Wow.
there are
Not
so
just
many
jobs,
people.
but careers. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. All these different careers. So the average families talk to me about depressed children. I've worked with young people my whole life, from age 10 all the way up to whatever. All my client ages have been 10 to 88. So couples, singles, young people in transition. I could see the need for that here, and the kind of work that I do with people that have found trouble elsewhere with other coaches or schools or whatever. We typically get the hard clients that people don't want to touch with a barge pole, and we see their whole life get turned around. And yet here, finding that platform, because I'm not tech savvy. I had such a knowledge base in the UK and had lived there for so long and was doing radio and TV there and had an agent and all that. I was a nationally known speaker, so it was easier there. Come back, it feels like a foreign country in my own place. And that
Yeah.
has been so difficult to try to reinvent or get my brand out there, my name again, because I left Hollywood in 2006. So I've been gone, 18 years.
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's the hardest thing for me right now. And of course, with the IT side of it is not my strength. Such a people
How do
person, but IT is not my strength.
how do you get your clients now? Like, how would you go about over there? You were well known and you were doing media. So how
Yes.
are you getting your clients now, or how are you getting media
It's
now?
it's been word of mouth, and we need to change the website for me, all this stuff, because everything was more UK based there.
Right.
And so we stopped everything, moved my base to America. So it's like, I know that I'm going to have to do a top to bottom total redo on everything, because if we're going to get me back on the media side of things here and really talking about, the books I've done and, all of this stuff that, you know, have been out on Amazon and Audible and
Mhm.
for all this time. Um, it is just redoing, getting that image out there, rebranding. because when I went to the UK, I had UK branding experts that had raised me up from my 20s. They were so behind me, and they launched that life coaching business with 1,000 people. they
Wow.
they really got behind me, and I've come back almost 20 years later, post Hollywood, post US government, all this stuff, and it's like being a stranger in a foreign land. That's how it feels right now.
So one of the things that I just hear, because you work for so many presidents, you said from Reagan, Clinton, was it Barack Obama, or no?
Nope,
No.
no Obama, because I was
Bush
in
Jr.
Hollywood, yeah, in the UK when all that was going on. But Reagan, his people got a hold of me when I was 16 because of something I wrote that made it to DC. I had no idea that an essay I wrote would get to the Army War College, and they go, "We got to get this kid in front of the president." The day that that meeting was set up, I almost got blown up with the president. So that was my entry into White House crisis.
Whoa. Oh my God.
But it made me want to go there even more. I said, I really want to go work for the most powerful man in the world. I love that. I want to do this. And that didn't scare me at all. And Clinton was looking for me, but I didn't even know it. He had been watching me do press conferences on America's biggest disasters. He said, "Who's that black girl working on the earthquakes?" And they go, "We don't know. We don't know what agency she works for." Well, I was working for 4 different agencies at the time, consulting. And he said, "Well, we need her on the team." And they fought to get me and ended up going for a 3-year assignment with Clinton. And then I gave that up to work on Hollywood. And then 9/11 happened, and Bush Jr.'s
Mhm,
people called me back. They said, "We really need you. We're in trouble."
mhm. So
We,
were you in broadcast journalism or media
Yeah,
relations?
I have an honors degree in TV and film from
Okay.
ORU, and I wrote my first TV show at 19, got it sold to the Baptist Television Network at 19. That was written for a Hollywood soap star. And that was my entry into Hollywood first, was before I even graduated. And then by the time Quincy Jones' daughter got a hold of me, she said, "I already know about you. I want you to come work with me." And I thought, Warner Brothers with Barry White and your dad. Oh, I mean, I went nuts. I was like, "You're kidding." And I said, "But I work for the government." And she said, "Oh, we're going to work on that." And I brokered the deal between Jolie Jones' operation and the government to get um, the finishing funds for a music video she was doing on solid waste, because I work for the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And that was so much fun to produce that. And that, I really felt like God was saying, get ready for Hollywood. If you can work with Jolie Jones and you can work and produce this stuff with her, get ready. I'm getting you ready for Hollywood. And that's what my mom had heard when we were children. I debuted on TV at 5.
Okay.
And
That was
I knew
okay.
Hollywood was going to be the end run in America before going to England.
You
So
have the most interesting background, Lindsay. She has the
yeah,
most interesting background I have ever heard. Like, but she started at 5, okay? So this ain't new to her. This is true to her because she's been
yeah,
in that limelight
yeah,
for a long, long time.
yeah,
But what I just
yeah,
really hear right now is that you need someone to kinda guide you and introduce you to the new media world, and
yeah,
that whether it's a newspaper, haven't told your long story. I mean, what you just said basically is probably an amazing story that a journalist would just eat up, just right,
yeah.
just
And it's,
right.
well, and we when we made our Hollywood dream come true, that's why we call our coaching program Extreme Dream. My sister and I turned around and we created a coaching program for young people, especially young women who wanted to go into the industry at all levels. And the successes we've had with other people's kids is amazing, to the point where men started saying, "Are you prejudiced toward men? Can I get my son in your program?"
Mm,
So many men have brought me their sons and said, "Help my son. He needs Extreme Dream." And we've seen some of those guys I've worked with started working for Paramount Pictures. One of them is an executive producer with Ridley Scott.
mhm.
The major filmmakers, the guys and gals I've worked with. One of my girls is a director for ESPN. They're amazing. Some of them are working in film as actors, and just doing some amazing things. And we said nobody was there to help my mom get us to Hollywood, so we want to
Mm.
turn around and pay it forward for other people's kids. And we've done it all over the globe. We've worked with kids in Europe, in the Mediterranean, as well as America, and
So
seeing great
the
results. So we just need the publicity to get that program out.
Okay. Is that what the Extreme Dream,
Yeah, that would be
that's
great because,
that's the book in the
yeah,
okay.
it's so unique. And the vision grid that I use, Pam and Lindsay, is it's a one sheeter, just like a one sheet you would see for a media person. It's a one sheet that, in a glance, anybody, old or young, can see their entire vision for their life in one glance. But it's something they can use as a lifestyle, and I've never seen it anywhere. It is
Mm,
so powerful. It works with geniuses that nobody knows what to do with. It works with kids that don't do well in school. It works with kids that are in trouble. It just is something that's God given that I, showcased the first time in 1997 in England with my branding expert mentors watching me backstage going, this is it. Oh my gosh, let her go.
mhm.
And, they did it by word of mouth then. So we never really had to deal with tech or anything like that in Europe. It was word of mouth. One corporate leader would go, "Oh, have you heard about this girl? You should call her, get her here, get her there." But coming back with all this time being gone in America, it's really like starting from scratch.
Yeah, that is really good. I want to, have Lindsay chime in a little bit, but I'm gonna have him really give him his take a little bit of a lot of the things that you were saying. It is really, uh one of the things I like about it is that you're really, really clear about what it is that you do, but I almost kind of feel like it is so much that in terms of really trying to pitch you or brand you or refer you or recommend you, we don't know which area to go. So I'm gonna have Lindsay talk about that right after
Mhm.
this. Okay, give me a second. I want to give a shout out to my creative director, Bobby Ivory, for creating that. And then also to the Ready, Set, Go Speak members. Dr. Letitia Nicole is here. Linda, the two Lindas are here, Linda Gray and Linda Fagans as well. They're part of the community. So you were
Oh,
saying that you're
that's
working with a branding expert and they were just saying, hey, you need to hear about this person, you need to hear about that one. The same thing with Linda. Linda was just speaking on a stage not too long ago. I told her about a program where she could go in and she's actually speaking and doing the videos. Letitia Nicole, oh my God. Letitia Nicole is just doing her whole brand makeover things as well. And really, when they start, a lot of them went through the program, the Brand Accelerator program. They
mm,
went through the Ready Set Go program, and knowing what they know, they're good at that, but not knowing the
mm,
people that they need to connect with. And like you said, on
hmm
this side of the water, it's a little bit
yes,
different now. A lot of it does have to do with tech, but
yeah,
Letitia Nicole, it's the same thing. She's a minister, she's a model, she's an actress, she creates products, she does courses, she speaks. It's a lot. And so one of
yes,
the things that I'm gonna tell you that I tell Letitia Nicole is let's focus on one thing first, build
mm,
that out, and then grow it. Because if
hmm
we say too much, it's almost like, whoo, I don't know what to do. It's
hmm
just like it's a whole lot.
hmm
So if we focus on one thing, it can really grow. And then
hmm
from there to germinate into something else as well. And Zena is actually just shout out and say prayers for her. Zena actually had a mild heart attack a couple of days ago. She's okay now.
mm. Bless
Um,
her.
but she's watching from here now. But when I tell you that she
Mm,
is on fire, she just came back from another state that she was speaking at. She's been in a whole lot of different articles and things like that. But yeah, you do need a guide, someone that really kind of like helps you and just really helps focus you. And within the community too is some um, accountability groups as well. That kind of like it says, hey, I kind of where you at on that? It's like you said you're gonna do it wherever you that. So as a coach, that every coach needs a coach. So Lindsay
Yeah.
is,
Oh,
is
yeah. Absolutely.
Lindsay is the person that keeps me accountable on a lot of things. Lindsay,
Great.
you had something, Lindsay?
So, Charlene, who
Yes.
who is your ideal client?
Um, Probably uh, people that would be willing to pay to actually follow through on everything that I provide on that grid and in the program. Because right now, some of the top coaches in America are saying, you're for what you do and the background you bring as a coach for all these spheres, you're looking at no less than 15 to 20K per client.
Yeah. So,
And that is
so
what I would love to see happen
that's
stateside.
yeah. We we
Stacy.
we all want clients who have money, Charlene. Who do you
Who?
have a product for? Who is your ideal client? Who is the person that you have the best solution in the world for? Assuming they
People,
have money, that's a given.
yeah, people that are saying, okay, I've hit a wall. The thing that I want to do looks insurmountable, and I'd like to get to that place. How do I do that? CEOs or people with teams that are hitting a wall and the team is not getting to where they need to go. That's the sort of thing that I helped people do a lot of in Europe and have done some of that here with corporate leaders before I went to Europe. But I would like to work with those kind of people, either a CEO at that level who's a goal getter, who
Mhm.
knows what they're looking for and is very specific what they're trying to reach, but also people that have teams that have lost that ability to dream, so to speak, and see themselves reach that goal that they keep trying, but they haven't been able to get there. And also young people with parents behind them that say, we've tried everything with Billy or Susie and nothing's working. Those are the kind of people that I believe that's my forte.
So we still really really all over the map because if you're talking about a CEO, that's probably somebody 50, 60 years old
Can
and
be, but not always.
well, the kind that have the money that you're trying to so yeah, everything, there's always exceptions,
Yeah,
but in general terms,
yeah.
CEO that's of a real business that's on the level that you're talking about somebody that's middle aged. And then you also said, with the kids, the parents with the teenagers, or so that's like this really broad spectrum. And the challenge that you're going to have with
Mm-hmm.
that is if you're
Mm-hmm.
talking to everybody, nobody hears you, nobody's listening. You just
Hmm.
people's capacity for accepting the breadth and depth that we can each have as human beings is very limited. So they need to know you for something. Charlene is the person I go to for this thing because if you lay out all of the stuff that you're capable of, they just don't know what box to put you in. And unfortunately, the way you earn your living, the way you earn significant revenue is by people being able to know that they in this box, you're the best person for this particular thing. And that's what they go to you for. And that's what they refer people to you for. And you don't have to always stay there, but you got to at least start there. Like to start from scratch in the US, like you say you're doing, you have to have a very clear message that's easy for people to understand. And to do that, you have to focus on a specific audience. So you're not going to be able to, I don't recommend trying to talk to CEOs and to parents at the same time. Because when the CEO hears you, what he's going to hear is, she's got a program for kids. And the parent sees something else you put out and say, okay, well,
Hmm.
that's not for me. That's for, so, you got to be
I
careful about focusing on a particular audience so that you can communicate consistently a message that people are going to be able to receive.
Well, I guess I kind of disagree with that because in Europe, we did not have that problem. We did both. I was known as someone who could coach youth as well as work with corporate leaders, and we made very sure that they knew that message. And that if they had a kid problem, we dealt with them on that level. But if I was talking to corporate leaders like the top developer in England who builds everything in England, totally different sphere. And we were able to meet that person's needs and other corporate leaders where they hired us for their whole teams. Because I don't just teach Extreme Dream, there are multiple courses I teach.
So if you were on
So,
CNN, if you were on CNN, they asked you a
yeah.
question. if you are on CNN and you're sitting at their
Mm-hmm.
desk,
Mm-hmm.
you are probably going to be talking to that audience, say if it's a CEO, or if you're in CEO Weekly, or if you're in the Wall Street Journal, or there's specific niches in the media.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So all we're saying is that you don't have to stay there, but start there so that we can get you
Okay.
on
So you're
CNN.
saying pick an age group
Not even an
is
age
Not
what
group.
you're saying. Only so
pick it.
stop what I did in the UK, but pick an age group in America and leave the other ages that I've always dealt with, leave that to the side for now, is what you're suggesting.
If I'm doing a media
Not
makeover
age
for
group.
you and I wanna pitch you to something, I'm pitching you to a media outlet whose audience is that, and it's more of an
Gotcha.
age, but it's like a psychographic demographic. So say, for instance, if it is a Wall Street Journal, yes, people who read the Wall Street Journal, they're probably parents.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
reading the Wall Street Journal because they're looking for a
Yeah.
solution for their kid. They're looking for a solution for themselves. Or if it's entrepreneur, Fortune, Forbes, that is a CEO and that's a business. So your pedigree of where you have been in terms of working in the White House and Hollywood and all the other things that you've done since you were, a teenager, you've written this and that. That really appeals to a CEO that says they really understand, they've been there, done that. Now, the CEO may have a kid and they say, well, you've done great with me. I like to work with my kid, but putting out the same messages at the same time, one over here for kids and one for the CEOs, because you could dominate the media landscape if you're just going after that business kind of media that then really attracts the people who are reading that, right? Because you're
Gotcha.
doing it. And so that's what I'm saying, like, when I say media makeover, because when I'm pitching media, there's so many. I mean, you could go on TBN and then you could talk about your ministry, right? You could
Yeah,
go
sure.
on, you know, so every media outlet that you're pitched to, they're gonna want the message that fits their audience, not what fits
Yeah.
your audience. So
And
even though
that's what
you
I've always done. You couldn't even make it in the UK without that. If I did ministry, it was ministry. If I'm talking to non-believers in Canary Wharf, which is the Wall Street of London, totally different ball game. And I did
totally
all of that, and I would switch my brain like that all the time. And I
yeah.
had to do it at the White House every day. So I totally hear what you all are saying, but I guess I haven't really thought about switching off to the youth because there's such a big youth problem. Half of me is dealing with youth all the time. The other half is dealing with people in business that are saying, you know what, I'm really tired of this. I'm not happy anymore. Sure. What can I do right now? And then they
How
come to
does
me
your
for their
program work?
issue. But they're young. They're not always 50 or 60. Sometimes these people are in their 30s and 40s.
How do you administer your program? How does it work? Is it a
It
3-month
depends.
program, a 6-month, a year? How
It
does it work?
It depends. If I'm working with young people and they're really wanting to go to entertainment, for instance, we did a year-long program for girls and guys in entertainment, and that's a separate thing for our mentoring group. If I'm doing a CEO, he says, well, can my wife come? I'm always listening what the client wants. If he says, can my wife come and can I pick the venue? Then I'm going to say 3 days, 2 nights. And here's what that breakdown is going to look like for you and your partner. If it is a single person that is struggling in a job and they're saying, I don't like this anymore, I want to change out, then I'm going to say, I need you for at least a day and another half day is what we've always done for follow-up because they have different assignments based on who they are. If it's a couple, I will work with their individual extreme dreams and then their corporate dream together as a couple. If you're a single person, the dynamics are different. And I cover that in the book I wrote too. We look at singles and couples very differently because the dynamics are obviously different.
Who is the we?
I'm saying when I am working with them, whether it's a team, could be a family involved, parents saying, this is what we want to do. This is how much time I'm going to give you with my kid, blah, blah, blah. I
No,
look
no.
at the time that the client has.
I mean from the program administration perspective. Is it just you? Or you're the body of knowledge
It
and that's it?
usually
Or
it
are there other
usually
people?
is me, but every once in a while I have brought my sister in if I'm working with young people because she's an award-winning screenwriter and a director. If I'm working with young people where it warrants having both of us work with them together, we will do that. And that's where every once in a while I will say we. When I was in the United Kingdom, I certainly had a team that I had trained to work with me. And of course, moving back home, I lost all that. You lost the IT element. We lost the whole team when I moved back to America. And so that is the big change for me
That's
here.
That's what I was getting at. So
Yeah.
what you had the capacity to do in the UK, you do not have the capacity to do here.
Not yet.
If you
Not yet. I don't
well,
like to think in negatives. Not yet.
well, no,
But
it's not
can
a
I do
negative.
it?
It's we're starting from
Yeah.
what can you do today without your team?
I can
Can
still
you
coach
service?
without the
Can you
team. I can still do my program without the team. I have all the materials. I have all the workbooks that I wrote. All that stuff is still here. Do I have the IT guy to change out the website? No, Lindsay, I do not. Do I have my personal assistant to make sure I don't have to, double book myself? No, I do not. All these people that I would like to look for, but Shar is doing it. Shar had to do it to get all this stuff off the ground over 20 years ago. So I can do it, but it's frustrating because it's like being in a foreign country now. I've been gone so long, and that is the hardest thing for me right now. I see what I'm missing, and yet, the cost of that move was astronomical.
Mm.
And so I'm having to do, yeah, a lot of stuff on
why
my own. I'm
why
teaching
can't you
right now
still
on my own.
why can't you still work with those clients from here? Be in the
Uh,
US and work with those clients where they are.
Meaning in the UK.
Yeah.
You could if you were doing stuff online. I think I'm better in person, and that's the hardest thing for me to kind of step over because I've been there and been so available to people. Whether it was London or Germany, I've worked at NATO. I've done so much in Europe, but I would get flown in to do these things, and here everything is IT. It's less people in front of you. It's more,
What did you do during
doing things
COVID?
online. Pardon, I'm
What did you do?
sorry.
What did you do during 2020 during COVID?
You know what? I did a lot more counseling. People were quite suicidal. We had the third toughest lockdown in the world.
In
Um,
person?
oh yeah, it was three years of that, and I was doing it from home because we had doctors wanting to kill themselves. Many
No, no,
single
no.
people
But
wanted to kill
I
themselves,
meant
so that's what I
what
had to do there.
I meant, Charlene, and during COVID, we were in lockdown. You had to
Yeah,
get
that's
used
what I'm
to.
saying to you. So I was doing it on the phone and I was talking to people every day. I'm answering your question, telling you that. I was
Yes.
doing it from home because we had a law that said you can go outside your house.
So then you could do that here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just I don't know. I'm just such a people person. It's a hard bridge for me to.
I can hear it in your
Yeah,
heart. I can
I'm
hear it.
so used
This
to working
ministry
with
comes
people.
out of
Even the
you, right?
1,000 I did, it was in front of them, in
Yeah,
person, and
I get it.
I did so much of that for 18 years, and it was expected. People would fly me in. Can you do this for us in Germany? Can you do that? Yes, I can. I speak the language. Blah blah blah, and I get flown in. To come back now where everything is IT, that's been a really hard transition for me to deal with. I see the way the world is and all that, but I'm just not used to it. I didn't have to do that in the UK, but here it's different. And I know everything is done online now. All of it is. It
I
was
mean,
very different in Europe.
even with CNN, a lot of the guests and things like that. I just
Oh,
had
I know. I know for guesting on TV, it totally is like that. But again, they usually brought me in person in Europe. And yes, I still do stuff for my radio show in London from here on Zoom, just like Lindsay's saying, can I do Zoom? Yes, of course you can. But is it my preferred thing? No. Is it a big hump for me to get over? Yes, because I feel like I'm detached from the people. I've done
yeah,
so much with people one on one for the last
I know
almost 20 years.
it
So
is
it's
hard.
really different. Even in Hollywood, I was going to New York and LA every weekend. I wasn't Zooming with stars. I was sitting next to Beyonce. I was sitting with Cuba Gooding, all of that stuff. So it's a big change for me.
Yolanda Churchwell, she's in our community and Ready Set Go Speak. And one of the things that she does is she does systems. She does systems for people. She does assistance. She does websites. Uh, Basically, she is stepping forward, and she says, with the coachable spirit and the right team, you will do it again. And she's just basically saying, like, in terms of the IT piece, Yolanda's business, she does that. That's like one of the things that
Yeah,
she does, and that's one of the
cool.
things
That's
about
great.
a community of people who hear you, know you, like you, want to see you win, like we all do. And then it's like, okay, if that's the piece you need, I got you. And that's one of the things too that people who come into the community, they're you're welcome. One of the people that come in to the community, they're basically like we vetted, like I did the story about you and that kind of thing. It's like so that people know your long form story. So how did you feel about the story that was done? Did that
You
kind
know,
of
I wasn't expecting that. I think that's very kind of you, very generous of you to do that. So I just say thank you to you for taking the time to do that. I thought, oh, it's just, a one-off, interview, and just we're meeting
you know why
somebody
I
and then
did it?
that's that.
You
But
know
very
why I
kind
did
of
it?
you.
You know why I did it?
Why?
One is that I saw that you went to ORU. So my company started in 2000, Ministry Marketing Solutions, and primarily my main thing was to help those that were in ministry to market, right?
Mm.
And I've worked with TD Jakes, Creflo Dollars, Dr. Miles Monroe, all of the superstars. You talk
Oh
about
yeah.
Beyonce. I've
Yes.
worked with gospel celebrities. And so I saw what you were trying to do, and I said it out of my heart. I said, let me just get something going because I see the pivot. And I said, well, Ministry Marketing Solutions, we don't really work so much with ministries anymore, but all of the people who are around me, Sharon, Dr. Letitia, they all have that mantle of this is what I'm called to do. So it's a calling. It's not really ministry. So that's why we did that. And
Well,
one of the
bless
things
you.
that you do with the long form story that's new and fresh is that you take it and we show you how to leverage it and ready, set, go, speak. So you may take that story and maybe share it with maybe Sharon, and Sharon is on Sirius XM, or you may share it with Tennille, and Tennille is a ministry of women overseas and also does some things here. Or Michelle McKinney Hammond. I don't know if you're familiar with Michelle
Oh
McKinney
yeah,
Hammond.
I've heard the name a lot. Yes.
Client, client. So can take it and I can send it to her because she's doing an event in Atlanta, she's doing one in Chicago, she's doing one in Ghana next year. So they're
Great.
looking for people, but you can only do that when, like you said, when you have a brand expert that kind of shares you out and says, hey, you need to work with them or you need to know about them. Same thing I
Mm.
will do with Linda. Linda's a nonprofit and that kind of thing. So if someone needs working with someone who's setting up a nonprofit, then I will say, hey, Linda is the person that you go to for that. If it's not Linda directly, then
Mm-hmm.
Linda will know someone in that industry. So that's one of the main
Right.
things about the benefit of, like a ready set go. PR, like I said, in marketing is something that you need ongoing, but more
Mm.
so than that, you really need a community that cares.
Right.
That's it. I mean, you can know a bunch of people and the people can know you, but if they don't care about you,
Mm-hmm.
they're not gonna help you. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the main
Mm-hmm.
things. So we personally want to know
Mm-hmm.
people that, one that gel together, like Yolanda gels with, uh, Sharon or a Letitia and Sharon, those kind of things because they know what each other do.
Mm-hmm.
Or Linda Fagans and Linda Gray, they're on here as well. Or even YB or Jackie. Jackie is definitely, she does something every Friday. I think it's called Midnight. Jackie, do you have a second to come up? Raise your hand if you can. Okay. Tell them about your midnight, minute to midnight.
Well, every night, every Friday night at 11:59. It's 11:59, a minute to midnight, Marketplace Prayer Boot Camp. So I've been doing it since 2010, and it's basically it's prayer, but it's also a lot of coaching in reference to how to really be successful in the marketplace, but not just successful from the standpoint of business, but successful spiritually as well, walking in the authenticity of your spirituality by being that marketplace influencer who move out of the four walls of church into the walllessness of the marketplace every week.
And that's what I want you to hear, Jackie, because I think
Great.
you all, thank you, Jackie, for
Mm-hmm.
moving back.
Great.
Because you both have the same type of mantle, so to speak,
Mm.
market ministry, right? So, I mean, once you're
Mm-hmm.
in ministry, you don't leave
Mm-hmm.
ministry. You just
No.
kind of change it.
No.
You change the assignment.
Yeah.
You change the assignment there. So
Yeah.
that's what some of the people who are in the community that you can kind of connect with and that kind of thing. She has a very wide network of women that have been listening to her, and she's written books and that kind of thing in terms of ministry and marketplace. And the main thing too is that we don't compete, we collaborate. That's one of the
Great.
key things about it as well. Lindsay was trying to really get you to hone in and see the and also to Letitia Nicole, she said over there, and just in terms of a niche, the first niche,
Yes.
not the niche that you have to stay in, but the first niche of the one that is probably the easiest for you to get recognized in and really be that brand. Is that
Mm-hmm.
what you're looking at, Lindsay? to see
Yeah,
what one
from
sounds like they
like
want.
from a YouTube from a marketing, picking a social media platform
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
perspective, if we're talking about YouTube, you really do have to pick one audience because the way the algorithm works is you need to show up once a week, one video a week, and you need to you do that focused on one audience because the way your channel will grow is by people wanting to see every video that you put out. So if you're talking to a different audience every video, then YouTube's never going to be able to grow your channel because
Right.
the video, I saw this one video and then the next three of them are not relevant to me. So I'm not subscribing. So your channel's not really going to grow. You gotta put out a channel where every video that you put out, somebody wants to watch, your specific client wants to watch. And so then they will subscribe because everything she's putting out is relevant to me. That's how you grow your subscribers. But if you don't pick one audience, I don't know how you're going to be able to be successful on YouTube. So that may not be the platform if you want to go broad. Um, perhaps perhaps LinkedIn would be a better platform for that. You definitely can get your CEOs there, and for your families, maybe Instagram. Like I if all of my guidance is going to be based on picking one ideal client and focusing on them and focusing all your messaging on them. So if that's not the approach you want to take, I can't really give you much more than what I just gave you.
Yeah, I guess I just um, want to find a way that people don't think I've stopped working with kids. Um, I've always done both, and it's just those
Let,
two
let, let,
areas.
let
So
me
I
tell
hear
you
what you're
one thing.
saying, Lindsay, that you're saying start with one and then do something else later with the kids as far as marketing goes. I hear you, but it's just I don't ever want people to think, oh, she's not never going to help kids again or something or young
Charlene,
people.
are you really good at writing? Charlene, are you really good at writing?
Well, I've been a journalist my whole life and I've
Okay,
written
so let
several
me tell
books.
you,
Yes.
can I give you some advice?
Yeah.
And this is free. I have a friend that owns Successful Black Parenting. And if you want, you can write as in her platform, just that article that you a column into that one. That is something that you could do. You could still concentrate on the CEOs doing the other thing, the messaging, but then because you don't want to feel that people you've let the kids down, you could be in her magazine, which is about 10 years old, I guess.
Yeah.
But
And that's
writing a
cool.
column in a
That's
column,
cool.
I
And I
mean, that would be
appreciate that,
easy for
knowing
you.
about that.
Yeah, it'd be easy for you. Is
Yeah.
successful
And I
black
don't want
parent.
Lindsay to think I'm not grateful for what you're saying. It's just, yeah, it's a big switch. It's a big switch for me. And I want to take on board what you guys are saying. But
The
yeah,
thing of it
it's
is,
a
if
big
it's
switch.
working, if what you're doing is working, then you can everything that we say is moot. If what you're doing is working, then everything that we say is moot. We try to do this so that we can help you get out there and get known, and get out there, get known to the right people at the right time with the right message. And
Yeah.
that's not a soundbite. That's exactly what I've been doing for 20 years. And as a journalist for sure.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you were to write for successful black parenting, you wouldn't be writing the column for a CEO. You're going to write it for that parent
Hmm.
with those words. So if you're going to
Right.
write for, say, Essence magazine, it's to women, that kind of thing. So that's
Yeah,
all I'm saying.
absolutely.
Those are the things. If you were to get on a, say, a Fox News or even a large platform, a daily talk show, Tamron Hall, they're going to bring you in for one thing, not for everything, right? They're going to bring you
Right.
in
Oh,
for
yeah. And they've made
thing.
that very clear because I talked to her producer and they've been very clear with me all throughout the summit. This is what we want for this. Oh, we love that. We love. Could you talk to us about that recipe? Or right here, could you talk to us about how to deal with these kind of clients that you've had? Blah blah blah. With learning disabilities, all that. Everything in media is extremely specific, and we
Right.
are all know you have to cater to your audience for that outlet, which is of course what we're all trained to do in media. So I hear you guys on that. I guess on the YouTube side of things, I think, just hearing what Lindsay's saying about, one one age group, focus one age group, focus one type of person
One
that,
type of person, not an age,
yeah,
not necessarily age, but
you
typically,
know,
like, it's a type of person. It's like you're opening up your camera and you're talking to one person sitting on the other side of
hmm
the
hmm
the room, and you're just
gotcha.
the same thing with the emails. The same thing with the email. If you're gonna send out an email, you're talking to one person. You can send out an
Right.
email with a newsletter. I guess it could be a mismatch of a whole lot of things, but people would unsubscribe if you're not really talking to them, if you're sending out an email that talks so general that they don't feel like you're talking to them, and that's
Yeah.
one of
And
the things.
And I
Yeah.
don't think we've ever done that. Whenever we did have a newsletter with our mentor group, it went to people that were specifically focused on the entertainment industry and getting a job in it. And we did that for them. Certainly in the UK, I was dealing with adults a lot of times, but people also knew that I helped people with kids in trouble, kids at risk. So that was always out there. We knew that if we were speaking to that, we would certainly, tailor whatever that message was for that age group and that concern. So I totally hear what you guys are saying on that.
Are you, affiliated with any, other, I guess you would say, like, licensed therapists that deal with children, that kind of thing? So sometimes, some of my clients work with one particular, practice, I guess you would say, and then they are working under their practice. So you still are getting paid, but they're the one that's doing the marketing because they're working with their particular,
Yeah.
niche and audience.
Stateside, I haven't done that yet. My mom, has degrees in sociology and psych at the doctoral level. So I have certainly gotten referrals from my mom, of course, who's also an ordained minister, but is also a doctorate in sociology and biblical counseling. So I have certainly been referred to people through her contacts over time in the States, but in the UK, absolutely was working with pastors and mostly parents that were really concerned for their kids that knew I had a niche with young people. So that was always something that was always there here because I haven't spoken in schools here in a while. I have talked in the top high schools in America before for years, but that was 20 years ago. So when I say starting from scratch, it feels like that because I've been gone for almost 2 decades. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying on that, and I have not
Mhm.
worked with a specific practice here yet
Yeah.
because I've only been back 12 months. I've just got back last year.
Feel like you just got, but yeah. Yolanda Churchwell says, she says, "The right people will connect with you even when you speak to one specific person," and she knows, and we talked about that. Outer circles will still hear and connect with you. So,
Mm,
really, it's an awesome experience as well. And she was just saying too that you have an amazing story, which is what I tried to share as well, and then really phenomenal circle of influence. So one of the things that we do is that we share your story, your long form story. We share it to the right audiences. Already Set Go Speak. With you being a journalist, you can appreciate some of the media that's in there. We
mm,
have exclusive media interviews in there that are from Speak Sell Shine. Some of them are from my journalist friends, the
mhm,
National Association of Black Journalists, about 12 of them. And so basically, any of them you can reach out to directly, just like you would like a producer at Tamron Hall, and they're looking for stories. I always tell people, I said, journalists are people that are doing a job,
mm,
and you want to try and make their
yeah,
job as easy as possible. And for you, it seems like it would be easy just for the Ready, Set, Go Speak program to really just feed you media leads as you see them because you're just kind of new to this area. So I can say, hey, here's a magazine, here's this one, here's that one. Write for them, pitch them this. And basically, because I'm teeing it up, just like you would like a softball, because you know how to speak media language, you could actually take all of those contacts and run with them. You just need someone to just really guide you and introduce you and say, hey, this is my friend Charlene. I'd like you to talk to her. And that's really what the Ready, Set, Go Speak. Now, if you're not familiar with pitching, then we show you how to pitch. But if you already know
right.
how to pitch, then you can actually just swing the bat and just hit it over the park. That's really
Yeah.
that's.
Well, and we had 2 months of training with Steve Harrison
Mhm.
before the summit, and it was hardcore with Oprah's producer. Uh, every week for 3 hours. Really working on each author speaker to hone that pitch into 30 seconds, for the moment that we're going to meet with you all. So yeah,
30
really,
seconds.
yeah, 30, your whole life in 30 seconds and no more than 45 seconds, because each of us knew we only had 2 minutes per producer or podcast host.
Mhm, mhm.
So
And I
yeah,
was part
so yeah.
I was part of that as well, so that's how I met
Yeah,
you.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. So I know that Steve Harrison gave us 2 months of training on the pitch before, for what people are looking at in America, at least right now.
And
Um,
one of the things too, and I've been working with Steve for probably about 15 years or so. My niche is really African American, and not that the major media is not, but my niche is really knowing the right people that just really have more of an affinity for you. Uh, and when I say like Black successful parenting, they would have an affinity for you, essence, and that kind of thing.
mhm,
Definitely Oprah's Black, but she's general market, but definitely people who are African American have an affinity for Oprah. So one of the things that I just see that having uh, a with Ready Set Go Speak, like 12 months. It's not just 2 months, but 12 months of actually training and resources and continual pitching is something that I would recommend for you. Especially just getting here. I just would recommend that for you because for 12 months, a community as well as someone who can give you media leads. And then also too, Lindsay is always there too to give you guidance and feedback on your YouTube channel, which is what he does excellent with. Because one of the things is that you can get on a YouTube video, and a year later, someone could see the same video and become like your largest client. It just has such an evergreen way of really transforming your business versus like Facebook or the other type of video formats. It's a
mhm,
whole science to it. Not really having to be techie about it. I mean, it's just really being consistent. That's what he said. A video once a week. Uh, Served up to that audience, and when they're looking on Google, and basically they see your video, or they go into YouTube and they're looking for a particular solution to a problem, and they'll see your
mhm,
video and it's like, oh my god. And then that's where a lot of it, I mean, at this point it can be where you fly to them directly, or they can say, hey Charlene, I really want to hire you. I don't want you to fly in, I just want to do it via coaching on the phone or on Zoom. That can be happen too, because they see you on
mhm,
video, so they will get used to
mhm,
seeing you on video.
mhm.
But the Ready
Right.
Set Go Speak program .com, like I said, it's 12 months. I just offer that as a recommendation for you to
Mhm,
consider for your next step. Not having to feel like you have to run around everywhere, but it is all there. Referrals, recommendations, relationships are really the main things that it's really built on,
mhm.
and really a community that cares. Not that everybody in our community has to be African American, they so happen to be. Um, I'm unapologetically Black, so a lot of Black media and
Yeah,
Black
of
are my friends.
course.
They're my friends. So
Yeah.
if New York, you know that there's the Amsterdam News. If you're in DC, there's a Washington Informer. If you're in Baltimore, it's the Afro. I mean, Radio One, Kathy Hughes is a person that we know. So those are our Oprahs.
Great.
The
That's
Black
great.
Oprahs, because
Yep.
like I said, when I work with the ministries, it was only working with like the Dr. Cindy Trims, who's been on Speakers Magazine, or
Mhm,
you know, uh, Dr. Sue J, or TD Jakes and that kind of thing. So they are
mhm.
happy to be, and the publisher companies know that. They said, hey, we want to work with a publicist that knows this market, and then they tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, can you work with these clients?
That's so
Because
good.
I had a
Glad you're
niche.
there.
Yeah, that was a niche. Uh, Tanya, I try to put your thing on the screen, but it's so long. Do you see it, Lindsay? Is she kind of like rolling
Yeah, I
her
see it.
It's like, and it's part one, it's that top two. Okay. And she says, as long as your content is engaging, as long as you're the relevant to both target groups, YouTube's algorithm can recommend you to right audience. It's beneficial to use accurate tags, descriptions, and titles. Yes, definitely titles are very, very important.
Mm,
Danelle said, sometimes a new season needs a new strategy. Open doors are not going to look as the familiar ones. Ready, set, go would be great for her. God's hand is on her life. What an amazing story. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to say she's over in, I want to say either in Europe So now, what city, what country are you in? I want to say that you're not in the United States. I just know that for sure. They'll put it in the chat really quick. I want to say I want to say she could be with Michelle McKinney Hammond. I want to say she's in Ghana. Now that I think about it.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah,
What
yeah, it was
what
Ghana.
Oh.
Oh, she's in USA now. Okay, I knew she was
Oh
in Ghana.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
what
she's
specific tech questions do you
international.
have, Charlene?
Wow, Lindsay, it just for me it seems like such a mountain because everything it's the equipment, it's the everything that everybody does that I just never needed in Europe because the name was out there. We just had to book it and get on a flight or a train and go do it. But here I feel like need a team, need to totally revamp my website. I'm an IT genius in the UK, did my ministry website. I feel like that has to change because it's not just ministry. We're really wanting to focus on the coaching because that's what so many people are asking me for and the special kind of courses I do. There's probably 7 different courses I do, but one of them is that Extreme Dream course.
Mhm.
And that
And
the
that's
book
the
is
book, right?
attached to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so what the True Grid book is, with that because of the vision grid I use. But the other book is my travel book with all the miracles that I've seen around the world, my travels in my ministry, and my kidnapping stories, all that stuff are in there. How I got away from all these things that can really save a life. But I think for tech, it's just knowing which platforms are best for someone like me with a varied past like mine. What kinds of equipment is absolutely a must? Do we need to invest in that? All of that, the microphones, the lighting, all of that is something I really want to, sit down and talk to somebody about. And the other concern of mine is that website, because, what I'm doing now is very different from what, I was allowed to do, so to speak, in the UK, the modeling, the radio, TV, all the things I did. Yes, teaching, yes, doing Extreme Dream as a coach, but also all the church work. So I was wearing all those hats and doing it, but I had a team of people that I could rely on, that some traveled with me. And then you had the IT guy was there in London. It was all there. So coming home without all that, not all those people are going to change their house and leave and up sticks with me and come to America, obviously. So it's getting all that in place that I had at the ready, set, go, so to speak, in the UK. So yeah, the tech side of it seems really daunting to me because everything at home is so tech driven. And in Europe, it wasn't always like that. It just was not like that. And so coming home and seeing everything tech driven, where you have to be online, your courses have to be online, everything you used to do with people, it all has to be online now, Shar. That is that feeling I get. And I'm saying, oh my goodness, what is that going to look like? What kind of equipment do I need? What needs to happen here? Because it's very different from where I was, on the south coast of the UK, and just hop on a train, get up to London, do whatever. It's just very different the way things are done. Never saw a media sheet till I got here. And that was the first thing I was told. You got to have a media one sheet. Didn't need that in Europe. Everything's very different. Same language, sort of, kind of, but it's very different. So I'm just really trying to catch up to everything I'm being told. You've got to have this right now.
And
The only way they're going to talk to you is if you have this.
yeah, and that's why the program is a year. That is really it. It's like it's
Yeah.
12 years to be in the community. It is because one of the first
Hmm.
things that we do for everybody is give them like a one sheet or a story like what you got. And that's so
Yeah.
they can have it and share it. And it is online. I mean, the community is
Yeah.
online. So it's one of the things
Yes.
that I wouldn't let that be like the main thing that you, because we can have, Yolanda Churchwell can help you with the website. That's not the main thing. That I think would be a stumbling block for you. That's the easy part. Getting the lighting and things like that. Lindsay's background is photography and lighting and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Yeah.
likes Ecamm, I like StreamYard, so we kind of go back and forth about that. But it's
Yeah.
it's what you're used to, and we can
Yeah.
actually
I just feel like I have a lot of different platforms to get used to using. I mean, Yeah, it's LinkedIn, it's YouTube, all these things that when I left the States, YouTube wasn't even a thing. It wasn't quite out there yet, and now it is. The iPhone had not been invented yet. Things are it's so changed because I've been gone almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the tech side really does concern me. Really coming up to speed with that and using it so it's the most effective for the business, so to speak, is my big concern right now. Because I just feel like, it's like two different worlds. And it's
Do you
like, what? Really? I have to do that right now, So, yes, I
do you
have the
have a
media
men
one sheet, all that, but want to get the tech side right.
do you have a mentor?
Stateside, I have had, but of course, people are getting older. One of my mentors here in Denver was a Fortune 500 um, consultant. And, yes, author, speaker, globally, all that. But of course, people are getting older. I've been gone a long time. So, had mentors for sure in the UK that were branding experts. And now that I'm home stateside, it is, I think people are getting older. I've been gone overseas for almost 20 years. And even though we've all stayed in touch and they've come to visit and see how I'm doing and all that overseas, it's really different because now we're talking to people that are probably in their, pushing 80 right now. So yeah, it's a little different, than just because I just came home, and was gone so long.
Yolanda says, thank you so much, Dr. Pam. I learned so much from the conversations that we were right at 1 o'clock, so we're gonna wrap it about how people about people and how to maneuver the landscape. And it is, it's about maneuvering the landscape. And it's always
Mm,
changing. I mean, AI is changing.
yeah.
So that's a whole nother way for a whole
Oh
nother
yes.
conversation right now. But I just want to say thank you for joining us today on Get Out There, Get Known. If there are any other questions you have or anything that you want to know about the program.
No, you all have given me a lot to think about. I just want to say thank you, Lindsay, for saying what you did. I took notes on everything you said. Um, and it's just a lot for me to think about, lots to ponder as think about what you guys have said and offered. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, the comments, the encouragement. Thank you, Pam, for letting me be on this platform today, and Lindsay for your input about YouTube and just thoughts about the clarity, bringing that clarity that you spoke about earlier, Pam, to my particular situation. It's just a lot to think about. Sometimes overwhelming for me at this point. I just never thought coming home would be this challenging.
Well, you were gone. You were gone for 2 decades just about. So
Yeah, I never thought that at all.
it's
I
a whole
had
nother
no idea.
but think about this though. And I live in a area in Michigan that has a lot of Middle Eastern people, and they
Yes.
lived in Middle Eastern their whole life, and they have come into our community when they first landed here in the 70s or whatever. And they landed here, they didn't know the language, they didn't know a whole lot of stuff. They came in, they got into where they could fit in. And then now when I look in that neighborhood that I grew up in, they own all the gas stations, they own all the
Yeah, they
credit stores,
do.
all they
I
I
know
was
about Michigan.
they came in here and I was like, they
Hmm.
knew nobody and knew not even the language. And they
Hmm.
came in here and they just decided to
Hmm.
get with it. And any immigrant for that matter, like the
Hmm.
language, so you don't have that barrier. So you grew up here.
Hmm.
But think of someone who like from another country that doesn't know the language, that now they have to not only come to speed with the technology, but come to speed with the language.
Mm,
And I see
yeah.
this a lot of times from people who are overseas that from the African continent, and it's like
Yeah.
they have a still very very strong accent, but
Yes.
they are running. I think this I talked with the gentleman last week. He's going to be part of the community, the Happiness Network, and his language is his accent is so, but he is running this network. He says he's got like 8,000 people in this network. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
neighborhood project, that's what it's called, Happiness Neighborhood
Yeah.
Project. And I'm like, okay,
It's
it's
incredible.
just yeah,
And we
it's
see
just
that in Europe because, of course, the United Kingdom is full of Arab
cool.
people and full of Africans because they used to own a lot of those territories. So,
So they pull them in.
it's the gateway to the world, England is, and London, near and dear to my heart, and so a place that I worked in for many years, and every color of the rainbow in London. So I
That is
totally hear you on that. And
it.
certainly whenever I've gone to work in Switzerland or Germany, I'm good with languages, so I pick them up pretty quick. And my other languages are German and Russian.
Oh my,
But it
yes,
just feels really odd to be home. And I'm just being really, really real
yeah,
with you guys today. It has been a very hard transition for me, much harder for me than starting over and starting a couple of businesses and charities in the United Kingdom. It was easier for me, I think, to do what I did there than coming back this time. It feels so different for me.
wow.
So, I really appreciate your time today. I just want to say thank you to everyone in the community, and especially you, Pam, for the article and the time today. And Lindsay, you give me a lot to think about. About which audience to really cater to first with
Thank you.
Extreme Dreams. So thank you so much, all of you.
I love that
Very
title,
welcome.
Jane. You're welcome. You're welcome. I will say one last thing is that mentors help with the learning curve. It's the shortcut way.
Yes,
Uh,
yes,
in the community knows I'll say that
absolutely.
can either learn by mistakes or mentors. So basically
Hmm.
mentorship is a less more painful than making all the
Yes,
mistakes.
absolutely.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
that would be good. So I invite you to be a part of the community. You would be a really, really good asset as well as also you would learn a lot as well. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Take care. All right,
You
bye-bye.
too. Bye
All
now.
right, bye. So thank you so much. That was really good, Charlene. So I just want to say every Friday at 2, we are here. Lindsay, quick media coverage is part of Ready, Set, Go, Speak. So I'm going to throw that in there as well because quick media coverage is a way to really get media very quickly and painlessly. It's like going to the dentist without the pain. Okay. It's like I'm going to have the pretty smile, but I don't have to go through the pain. So you have any comments or anything before I throw our intro out, our outro out?
No, just to everybody watching, if you're trying to get known, Pam is the person to help you do it. You can struggle in obscurity by yourself, or you can join a community of people who are doing what you want to do and going where you want to go. And that's the fastest, easiest way for you to get where you're trying to go. So definitely reach out to Pam about her Ready, Set, Go, Speak community, and go chase your dreams with some people who are chasing theirs as well.
That's it. That's it. Alrighty, guys. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where you help you shine like a superstar.